Welcome to the Caribbean Leadership Project's video series on Thought Leadership on Leadership, where we explore issues pertinent to leadership in the Caribbean region. My name is Rohan Richards. I'm a proud CLP alumnus. We're honored to have as our featured guest Dr. Ruby Brown, Chief Executive Officer at the Management Institute for National Development. Dr. Brown joined the MIND team in September 1997, serving in several strategic leadership positions, including those of Director of Learning, Director of Human Resource Management and Communications, leading to her current role as Chief Executive Officer, a position she has held since 2005. Dr. Brown completed her doctoral thesis with the Antioch University in the United States of America. The topic of her dissertation was professional hurt amongst senior public sector leaders in the Caribbean. And today she will share with us much more about her research and its implications. Dr. Brown, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Please explain to us what is meant by professional hurt and exactly how you came up with that term.
All right, so I have defined professional hurt as the mental and emotional pain encountered during an experience that violates one's professional dignity, and the pain that attends the certain knowledge that one has lost his or her claims to respect as a professional and as a leader. And how did I come up with that term? Well, Rohan, back in 2009, 2010 there, when I was pretty much in my first year of the PhD program, a permanent secretary with whom I have and had then and still have a very good relationship. In fact, I deem her as one of my mentors. She had an experience of being removed from her post as permanent secretary, and as she explained to me, was sidelined with really nothing to do. And so when I heard of her situation, I would call it at the time, I reached out to her. I wanted to understand exactly, what it is that she was going through and to see, just in what way I could be of any support. As I sat with her for lunch the very first day, and she shared with me her experience, the only thing that came to mind that could best describe what she was going through was professional hurt. And interestingly enough, as I used that term to coin her pain, it somehow seemed to have resonated with her, because for the rest of our discussion and subsequent interview sessions, because what I should share with you, I asked her whether or not she would be willing to have me capture her experience as a case study, and she agreed. She said she felt that her experience ought to be documented, and to be shared with others because of what she saw as the far-reaching implications of what she went through for leadership across the public services generally, not just in Jamaica, but across the region. So the term just seemed to have resonated with her, and it stuck for the case study. And later, when I had to make a decision on what I would do for my dissertation, with the support and guidance of my chair, I decided to continue the research on this phenomenon.
Well, it certainly is an important topic. What were some of the main conclusions from your research, some of the main findings?
Okay. Well, a number of things. I was able to conclude, for example, just what happened to cause professional hurt. I was able to identify how it happened, why it happened, when it happened, the effects of it, the impact, and the implications. And if I were just to pull it all together, I would say that I was able to conclude without a shadow of a doubt at the end of the research that professional hurt is really the combination of the deep hurt a leader experiences as a professional, combined with the undermining of his or her sense of professional pride. his or her sense of dignity and confidence. I was able to conclude as well that professional hurt really is defined in terms of how it is experienced by the victim. And that as much as it's a deeply painful experience, it can also be overcome. And finally, I would say I was able to conclude that as personal as an experience professional hurt is, it is really just a part of a system, and a system that is really larger than the individuals who have been hurt.
I want to delve a little bit more into overcoming the professional hurt, but just to give us an example of your sample size. Did you go into those persons who may not be necessarily in full leadership positions? For example, the case study of your permanent secretary who you mentioned. Did you look at persons within middle management field as well? Because clearly those persons can also suffer from that phenomenon as well.
Right. Agreed. In fact, the research did help me to appreciate that professional hurt can be experienced at any level within an organization. But to be specific about my sample size, I interviewed 20 public sector leaders from across the region, and the majority were at the, you would call the level 1. So they were either permanent secretaries or cabinet secretary, or CEOs, depending on whether or not they were associated with a public body. And I had maybe 1 or 2 persons who were at the level just below that. So it's really senior public sector leaders.
What in your view, based on your research, are the implications for leadership development and practice in the Caribbean public services?
All right, so let me speak a little bit to the implications for the practice of leadership across the public service, because it's really one of the aspects that drove me to pursue this research the way I did. Because when I did the case study with the permanent secretary to whom I earlier made reference, she was concerned about the implications for leadership practice across Jamaica and across the region. And that also came out from the research. The other leaders were concerned. For one, the reason that because of the pain and the hurt associated with their experiences, if something wasn't done about it, it could likely cause or continue to cause individuals who have a lot to contribute to the public service to shy away from the role, or for our public services not to fully benefit from what individuals who are very, very capable can bring to the process, because they are so fearful of being hurt or having been hurt, they just try to stay under the status quo, just doing enough to get by, as against living into all of the potential that they have and all of what they can contribute to the success of the public service. So that for me was a major implication. In terms of leadership development, there's no question. Leaders have to be developed to, one, avoid causing professional hurt. So we have to look at how is it that we construct our leadership development interventions to ensure that leaders are not just aware of this phenomenon, but they are helped to develop those competencies that will cause them not to be a cause of professional hurt. Of course, the intervention, because the phenomena exists, we have to have the kinds of leadership development interventions that will now support those who are experiencing professional hurt or who might have experienced professional hurt to be able to navigate their way, to be able in the process to build resilient muscles is what I would want to call it. to be able to develop competencies where they never even envisaged that they had competencies, so that they can rise above the pain and the hurt and contribute in a very fulsome way to our leadership, to transformative public service leadership. Importantly too, we have to have the kinds of leadership development programs for our leaders that they develop the confidence and the competencies to craft policies or influence policies that can begin to create changes in the public sector system that provides an enabling environment for professional hurt. One of the things that I was able to conclude from the research was just how much the experience robbed leaders of their confidence, you know? And so, again, the leadership development interventions would have to be geared at that, as they build the competence of public sector leaders generally to build confidence, so that if and when they encounter professional hurt, they have the confidence to know that it's not something for them to be ashamed of. And it's not something for them to hide and go off into the sunset, you know, but something that is larger than who they are.